of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. And I feel fine.
Flipping the classroom is not the end of the world as we know it. Or maybe it is. I guess it depends on how you view the role of the teacher in the classroom. If you see teachers as the sage on the stage, the traditional dispenser of knowledge in the classroom, the center of the class's attention, and the director of all learning, you may find that flipping the classroom is the end of the world as you know it. On the other hand, if you see teachers as guides on the side, mentors who help students to learn, who can direct students when they need direction, and who put students at the center of learning, then a flipped classroom might just be the start of a whole new world. The flipped classroom can be hard to define. One search using the keywords flipped classroom will lead to a plethora of articles with synonyms such as flipped mastery inquiry, project-based mastery, inquiry learning, and on and on. Perhaps the best way to define flipped learning is in the words of Aaron Sams, part of the duo of Bergman and Sams, who helped take flipped learning mainstream. Sams described flipped learning as, quote, a class that uses screencasts as an instructional tool. In most models of flipped learning, students will watch videos at home in preparation for or to supplement classroom activities. Like everything in education, flipped learning has its fans and its detractors. Both sides make some good points, and neither side has all the answers. But by taking a thoughtful look at the whole picture, it's possible to see that flipped learning holds the potential to start the transition to new ways of teaching and learning. Undoubtedly, there are some downsides to flipped learning. Detractors note that our poorest students, the ones who struggle the most academically, will get further behind because many of them don't have access to technology at home, or have technology that is so outdated that it doesn't provide adequate access to content. There are a variety of solutions for this particular problem, from finding ways to loan out internet-enabled mobile devices, to extending computer lab hours and other community resources, to burning DVDs for students who have no other internet or computer access. Another significant criticism of the flipped learning model is that watching videos at home is still homework, and students being students is still not likely to get done. New to practicing flipped learning teacher Alan Earhart noted that students needed what he described as a carrot to watch the videos. In his case, he provided worksheets with questions on them to guide students in note-taking and made the worksheets worth points. It turns out that when points are involved, students are more likely to complete the outside of class work. Go figure. In the same vein as the concern about whether students will watch the videos they are assigned, comes the worry that students don't know how to watch videos for content. This is a significant sticking point for critics, and interestingly, proponents agree that this is a very real problem. Students are used to watching videos for entertainment, not for learning. They need to be taught how to learn from what they're watching before they're ready to engage in a flipped learning classroom. Teacher Leanne Bongers found a solution when she modeled the process for her students and made a video of how to take notes when using technology as text. Perhaps the most significant downside to flipped learning may also be its most significant benefit. Flipping the classroom is a lot of work. It requires rethinking everything about how the classroom operates, from the most important topics for instruction to what student-teacher interactions should look like. It requires thoughtful consideration of how students learn, what we need to teach them, what they can learn for themselves, when we need to guide them and when we need to let them struggle, and perhaps most importantly, what the role of the teacher is in the classroom. The potential of flipped learning lies not in using videos as a tool in the classroom, but in the way the model invites rethinking how teachers approach teaching, or, more to the point, how teachers engage students in learning. It requires careful selection or creation of video content. It requires knowing not just the learning objective for the students, but knowing the stumbling blocks students will face and preparing to help them through. And it requires turning control of the learning over to the students. While some teachers find the idea of using the vastness of the internet to help provide the best possible instruction for their students in the form of videos from experts in the field, and then turning responsibility for learning over to the students, liberating, there are opponents of flipped learning who worry that the model will lead to the demise of teachers as experts. They worry that the wealth of videos available on the internet will lead to a model of education where classrooms with highly educated teachers will be replaced by rooms with moderately educated tutors who monitor and provide basic support for students as they make their way through courses developed and delivered by a central educational authority, reducing the need for teachers who are experts in their field significantly. Those who are alarmed at the possibility of the loss of teachers as experts are seeing flipped learning in the wrong light. The sheer volume of high-quality videos and other online content does indeed make the need for teacher as subject matter expert less pressing than it was in generations before the internet. However, that same wealth of quality material makes it possible for teachers to focus on an even more important aspect of teaching: the students. Any teacher who has a solid grasp of the class's content can work to find or create materials for the class. But a teacher who knows his or her students will know their strengths and weaknesses and find ways to present content in a way that's meaningful to the students. The power of using flipped learning as a tool is that it can allow the teacher to spend less time doing the creating or finding of materials and more time interacting with students, getting to know them, and helping make sure they're learning what they need to know. Building relationships with students is the most impactful part of teaching. Most people who go into teaching do so, not for the love of the subject, but with the desire to make a difference in the lives of young people. By embracing the flipped learning model, teachers open up the possibility of knowing students better, helping them more directly, and working with them to guide them on the road toward becoming lifelong learners. If flipped learning is a threat to the traditional role of the teacher, it's only because it's time to see teaching in a new light. If we give up being content experts to become guides who help young people discover how to learn for themselves, if we give up classroom control to controlled chaos that teaches young people how to work together to solve problems, if we stop lecturing and start listening to our students' needs, if we give up being authoritarians and model kindness and empathy, we will not be giving up anything at all. In fact, we'll be gaining something far more meaningful than status as experts. We'll be gaining a new definition of what it means to be a teacher.